Hello, my name is Cassidy Velasquez, and today I am going to be talking about the Media Clip final project for educating exceptional students. I'm sorry my voice sounds so terrible. I've been sick since Friday, and so I'm just going to try to get through this presentation without doing too much coughing and too much sneezing, and without crying because my eyes have been watering like crazy. But first off, I want to start with autism. There are two major characteristics, which include social communication, impairments, and restrictive, repetitive behaviors and interests. The three criteria of social communication impairments have been documented in research to occur constantly or consistently for people with autism. A review of research related to restrictive repetitive behaviors and interests has reported that these behaviors are much more likely to occur in unstructured environments in order to regulate hyperarousal or increase sensory stimulation. Restricted repetitive behaviors and interests are more likely when students are unable to communicate in typical ways. Some students may be able to focus their attention on detailed information for a long period of time, whereas others may excel in areas of the curriculum that are not language-based. Curriculum adaptations modify either the way in which teachers present or represent curriculum content, or the way in which students respond to the curriculum. For universal design for learning, I saw the Learning to Learn strategy, and this strategy will enable students with autism to succeed in general curriculum, cognitive learning strategies, and even social decision-making strategies when planning for this UDL. One should take the student's memory strengths into account when making one of these. But another UDL idea is a mnemonic strategy, and this strategy helps students learn and retain information. There's also the pegword strategy, and this helps students remember numbered and ordered information by linking words and numbers that rhyme. The visual images help the students remember a number or a number sequence. Letter strategies that I was looking into employ acronyms or a string of letters to help students remember a list of words or even concepts. So moving right along, we're going to talk about traumatic brain injury. Coordination, physical weakness, and fatigue are common effects with TBI. That's part of their physical changes. Children who have sustained a severe brain injury had increased rates of intellectual impairment, particularly related to nonverbal skills. The cognitive impact of the brain injury often results in problems associated with memory and the executive functions of planning, problem solving, and even abstract reasoning. So emotional, behavioral, and social changes can be especially problematic for children and youth with a TBI. A TBI injury, or a TBI, I guess, often makes it difficult for students to pay attention as teachers present course content, especially when it is in a lecture format. So when a TBI student is especially fatigued and wanders off mentally, that child should just be allowed to lay down, and then from there the child listens to the teachers and the classmates. So this child does not completely miss out on the instruction. When the child is physically able, he or she can jump back into the kind of the classroom. These short downtimes really do help. Their mind is engaged while their body are refreshing themselves. Another UDL that I was looking into is instructional pacing. This evidence-based strategy involves delivering course content in smaller increments or in packets of information and allowing students to respond to smaller chunks of information. Also with this, you want to make sure when you ask a question, you want them to have enough time to think about it and process it before making them answer. And then when they do answer, you want to make sure you listen to their responses and if they're kind of going on the wrong track, you want to kind of guide them back onto the right track. And also giving them frequent feedback, because that's what they usually need in order to continue with that subject or topic. So then we move to hearing loss. Children are born with the ability and desire to communicate. Normal language acquisition for hearing children follows a predetermined sequence that is similar across most languages and cultures. Language delays are a direct result of their inability to process auditory information or their lack of exposure to visually encode language. Their delays will vary depending on the level of hearing loss and the amount of visual and auditory input they receive. One of these three approaches are used to teach communication skills to students with hearing loss are oral, manual, and total communication, as you see on your screen. There is, however, probably no one single method that meets all of the needs or meets the needs for all children at once, because everyone is unique whether we have disabilities or not. The academic achievement of students with hearing loss depends on their individual characteristics as well as the characteristics of their parents and teachers and also school programs. Speech-language pathologists are responsible for carrying out instruction in speech. This model is a bilingual English as a second language model for deaf students acquiring for two languages, which is ASL and English, and that is called the Bye-Bye program or model. The Bye-Bye model takes theories and knowledges from ESL, English as a second language, research, and applies them to deaf education. The student learns ASL as the first language and then English as a second. There should be 4 levels of planning. Concept planning is number 1. 2, language goals planning. Number 3 should be speech goals planning. And last but not least, auditory goals planning. And each participant should have input and responsibility for every aspect of planning and instruction. So we're going to keep on going with visual impairments. Vision allows a person to experience the world meaningfully and safely from a distance. Individuals who have visual impairments are limited to their spontaneous ability to move in and through their environment. And this restriction influences a child's early motor development and exploration of the world, and thus affects the child's knowledge base and social development. Students with visual impairments benefit from instruction that incorporates real experience, that employ a kinesthetic or a hands-on approach to learning. General educators of students with visual impairments must provide more experimental activities in their classroom to ensure that all students understand the text. Students with visual impairments require ongoing instruction in important skills of daily living. Involving the student in an activity and having high expectations that the skill can be acquired are critical factors in the acquisition of daily living skills. Unlike sighted students, where we can see students with visual impairments must learn to listen to the flow of traffic as where we can see the traffic moving. They have to, visual impairment students have to react to changes of the street and the road surfaces. And they have to use all of their other senses other than vision or even a cane, or any other kind of mobility device to detect objects in their environment and to help them know where they are and so that they don't run into anything. IEP team members must assume responsibility for the instruction and practice of newly learned skills whenever the natural opportunity to do so occurs. Each member must believe that successful adult functioning depends on the student's attainment of skills in all curriculum areas. And last but not least, we're going to talk about gifted and talented students. It is difficult to identify the characteristics of all people who are gifted and talented. Nevertheless, those who are gifted and talented typically have one or more of these characteristics that I have listed here on the screen. To your left under characteristics. Those characteristics include superior functionings related to memory, concentration, abstraction, generalization, and also reasoning. Given these characteristics, students who are gifted typically develop vast knowledge in one or more areas. Key characteristics associated with leadership include the ability to assess situations quickly and to take direction for the benefit of a group. The visual and performing arts include the areas of fine arts, music, dance, and theater. Students who are gifted often experience significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression than their typical peers, although this can change as children enter adolescence. Two strategies that can effectively adapt the curriculum for students who are gifted include the use of curriculum extension techniques and the application of cognitive taxonomies to design the design of activity, lesson, and also unit plans. For curriculum extension, students who are gifted learn content more quickly than their peers do, and they do not need as much repetition. So curriculum extension activities should not simply repeat the same task over and over and over. And they also want to be challenged kind of at the higher level. For cognitive taxonomies, teachers can change what they expect from students by designing lesson and activity objectives that range from less to more complex. They also can extend the curriculum for gifted students by having students engage in activities that move up, which they can teach students the skills they need to be more creative and to develop effective thinking skills. So that's all I have for this project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day. See you later.